Hello, everyone, and welcome to Comics from the Future, a weekly show where we go over all the comics that are open order for this week. I'm Jason,
I'm Andy.
and we're with Infinity Flux Comics out of Chattanooga, Tennessee. Megan, unfortunately, is unable to join us. We have an employee who is out with a fairly big medical emergency.
Mm.
She's all right, but Megan might not be here for a few weeks as she has to cover for her. So just sadness all around, but
Yeah,
she will be back.
you did a good job. That's not in your life. Easily rolls off the tongue intro
No,
because Megan always does the intro for this one.
yeah, well, thank you. Okay, so a lot of comics to go over that are open order this week. A lot of new number ones, but don't worry, Andy and I, we've been doing our research. We can handle it. So let's begin with our featured comics. Check out this first one. It is from Marvel. It is Gold Goblin #1. This is going to be a 5-issue miniseries. So Norman Osborn has come a long way. Lately in Amazing Spider-Man, Norman Osborn is no longer really a villain. He feels very bad about his past as a Green Goblin. And in this miniseries, the media starts dubbing him Gold Goblin because he's done a bunch of good stuff. They're very quickly going, oh, we're getting those clicks saying that he's a hero now. The question is, does he feel like a hero? And can he really redeem himself after all the terrible things he did, even though he really has sort of owned up to them? So I like a good redemption tale. So,
For
or at
how
least
long
somebody
will
wrestling with redemption.
how long can Norman Osborn keep as a good guy? We'll have to see.
Yep. So that is the premise of the 5-issue miniseries Gold Goblin. We have a few variants here. Here is the Bengal variant. This is going to be a connecting variant across the 5-issue series. Then we have the CHECHETTO Gold variant for obvious reasons. And then we have the CHECHETTO Green variant.
So Green Goblin's not too far away. He's haunting those variant covers.
Well, Green Goblin's always haunted his own mind,
Yeah.
so
And I like how he's called Gold Goblin. It's like, oh, you're gold. You're still a goblin. Like,
yeah.
still a little rude, but next up is a big one for DC. This is uh, DC's The New Golden Age. So, reminiscent of the Golden Age of comics, of course, with your Justice Society characters there. This is spinning out of a lot of the storylines that's going on right now, like Flashpoint Beyond, Dark Crisis, all of those things. This is going to be a one shot that kind of funnels all that in and then disperses it into a bunch of new titles. So it says it's going to be from 1940 to 3040, telling stories of all these characters and how these big events have been going on have shaped the new uh, multiverse. We now have a new multiverse in the DC universe. So it's going to be using characters like brings back Mime and Marionette because this is written by Jeff Johns, of course. So he's bringing back some of his Doomsday Clock
Yeah, the
characters.
ones he's invented.
Yeah, Mime and Marionette, who are kind of breakout characters from that series. That also says there or what is nostalgia, which I think is an interesting idea. If it's a character or a villain or a hero or even a thing, nostalgia is a big thing in comics. It's a very powerful thing, and I think it's very interesting that they have uh, harnessed that and are going to be exploring what is this thing, especially in a superhero universe where that's so prevalent. You're going to have artists like Jerry Ordway, Steve Lieber, much more on this because it's kind of an oversized one shot. I think if you are a fan of DC books and kind of the continuity of DC books, you'll definitely want to be picking this one up. This is going to be kind of your ground zero for all the things there are to come going into next year. So, this is our A cover, of course. We have our Todd Knock variant. You can see some of the Star Spangled Heroes from yesterday.
Yeah, I've noticed on this cover and even the last one, it was harder to see her, but Stargirl's been kind of the center
Yeah, I
of
think we're
each of
going to be
these
getting a lot of
covers.
Stargirl. We have the Mike Allred cover. It even says, you see Rip Hunter there, that why are the Time Masters, like Booster Gold and Rip Hunter and Wave Rider, the most hated heroes in the multiverse? I think that would be very interesting. And then we have our uh, David Talaski. Alan Scott
That's
variant.
really nice.
Yeah.
All right, so this is an indie book. It is called Once Upon a Time at the End of the World. This is going to be from Jason Aaron. He's stretching his wings, doing some
Yeah.
indie work now. Each of these issues, I believe, I did some research on this. I think this is going to be a 5 issue series. Sometimes it's really hard to find out how
It's
long
very
these
hard.
are. But each one is going to tell a trilogy of tales that link together. Okay, so it's not anthology, but there are going to be 3 stories in each of these issues about the same characters,
Hmm.
maybe at different times. I'm not sure. So this is set in a post-apocalyptic world where there's been just huge environmental disaster. I mean, look at the cover. It just,
Yeah.
once your world is that full of lava, I don't know if being in a rickety boat is going to
Or an
keep you alive.
umbrella is doing too much.
Yeah, an umbrella is going to help you too much. But I'm really interested. Jason Aaron's an excellent writer. This is supposed to be just a really epic sort of tale. The art is done by Alexander TEFENKGI. He is the artist, and so it's just about some protagonists trying to survive in this post-apocalyptic environmental disaster of a world. So again, this is Once Upon a Time at the End of the World, which I think is a really good title for
Yeah.
a long one. And so that is our main cover by Del Mundo. Here is the interior artist, Tefengi, did this variant. And then there's going to be a glow in the dark variant. This is a glow in the dark Yoon variant.
Hmm.
It's going to cost like an extra buck or two. I think this is a 6.99 cover. And lastly, there is going to be a foil cover. So you can't tell it, they never can scan it in the foil where it's like, but it's going to be this, but a foil cover. This is going to be more expensive too. It's going to be a 9.99 cover because this is a local comic shop day variant. So this one won't come out the same time as the book. This will come out on local comic shop day. I think we have 5 different local comic shop books we'll be showing
Hmm.
this week, and this is the first one.
I'm excited to see Jason Aaron return to independent comics because I think he really does well there. Stuff
Southern
like
Bastards.
yeah, Scout.
Mm,
He's got a funny sense of humor with the dark.
yeah.
Okay, next up is our third part of this trilogy that's been going on, starting with War of the Bounty Hunters. Then we have Crimson Reign. Now we have Star Wars Hidden Empire #1. This is kind of the Qi'ra trilogy, dealing with her uprising against the Empire. And in this one, we're finally going to have Palpatine versus Qi'ra as he has kind of set his sights on destroying Crimson Dawn and wiping them out of existence. And we know they don't show up in the movies, so it cannot be too good for them coming up. So this is going to be our, at least from back when War of the Bounty Hunter started, Charles Soule this said this was like a 3-act story, this being the third act. He could have extended that. I'm not sure. He hasn't said anything about that. But for right now, I believe this is the final part of the this trilogy that was made. I think this is really cool. It says, that Palpatine has turned his eye on Qi'ra, but also she is just as prepared with her own tricks. She's got the Knights of Ren that are back. She's not going to go down without a fight. So if you've been a fan of all of this, it's going to be very exciting to see how big this final story is going to be. So this is our A cover. We have our Cummings connecting variant, which is going to have kind of all of your key players in this story. Then we have the Shalvey battle variant. So pretty cool. This is also going to be 5 issues long.
All right. From DC
I
Comics.
almost said image.
Nope, it is not 1992. From DC Comics, Wildcats is getting a new ongoing series. And so, Jim Lee, of course, is head of DC and has been for some time. He is the creator of Wildcats. I kind of expected this a while ago. They
Yeah.
had Grifter coming into everything, and I mean, this was maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And I thought it was like, wow, a lot of Grifter. Wildcats are going to come back, and then he just kind of went away. I just think it took a little while
Yeah.
because they are back now. So they're going to be a covert team operating in the shadows of the DC universe. Their Grifter is their leader, and they're underneath the Halo Corporation. The solicitation says from the pages of Batman. Yeah, Grifter was in Batman. a while back
Also from the pages of Wildcats from 30
from
years ago.
yeah. So Wildcats is getting a new series, and this is the number one. So this is a regular cover by Steven Segovia. Here's the variant by
Jim Lee.
yes, this is the Jim Lee variant.
I
Of course,
feel
Jim
like
Lee's
that's
got to
like
do one.
why is Jim Lee not the main cover artist? I mean, I get it, but
He's a busy
he's a busy
person.
man.
Yeah, and then here is Art Germ is doing a cover. You got a Ben Oliver Grifter cover, looking pretty sinister there. And lastly, they're doing this series of 90s embossed covers. Everyone, you either remember these or you've come across these if
In a
you
dollar
go
box
through.
somewhere.
Yeah, if you're going through comic collections, the embossed comics are back. DC's just doing a little line of them, just in honor of the 90s. So this is the Booth and Hope 90s foil embossed variant. This is going to cost more, though. This process costs a lot more. So unfortunately, they pass on those fees to you. And so this one's going to be a $9.99 cover.
I'll be interested to see those when they come in, though. I want to feel them and see
Comparison against the other
comparison.
ones.
Yeah.
Have our technology to embossing's gotten better or not?
Next up is a new. Now, I had to do some deep diving because Marvel kind of hides this. This is going to be a one shot special. So, this is Blade Vampire Nation. So, they've been slowly bringing Blade back into the forefront. He's actually been a member of the Avengers for quite a while with Jason Aaron. But there was a time where we thought we were getting this, like, Daughter of Blade series, and that was canceled. But finally, we're getting some more Blade. I think this is also a little bit because of maybe the MCU and the return of kind of the horror characters. We know Blade's getting his own movie coming up.
Right. Delayed, but still in
Yes,
production.
yes. So I'm very excited about this, even though it's just a one shot. If you didn't know, Blade is actually the sheriff of the vampires, and that's interesting because I mean he's Blade the vampire hunter, so he has to protect them, but also sheriff them all the while, like before he's seeking to
I
destroy
think that
them.
happened at the end of Heroes Reborn. Is
Yes.
when that yeah when he ended up being
So he has a very shaky relationship with the vampire community, but something's going to happen that threatens to unravel the whole vampire community, and he is going to be tasked by Dracula himself to uncover a conspiracy within the vampire community. So I'm guessing this is probably going to be leading up to some more Blade stuff we're going to get in the future. As we get into this, I think it's really cool. It's just a one shot, so easily consumable. We have the A cover for this. We have this is by Mark Russell, by the way. We have the Inhyuk Lee variant, and we have the Lozano variant.
so yeah I was saying the Blade movie it was just announced has been delayed. I think that the director something happened and they're replacing the
Yeah,
director. Blade's daughter is getting a series though.
yeah,
That was also announced. So they are definitely adding into the Blade mythos
yeah.
going forward. Okay, so the next book we're going to show off, this is one called Two Graves. This is a new one from Image, and it was hard to find out much about this book. It's very mysterious. So from what I read, it says something like Death and the Maiden go on a trip and no one comes out alive. Something that's that
The cryptic.
yeah, that cryptic, which in indie books, sometimes that's all they need to
Yeah.
do to catch the right people. But it did say a little more. It said that I think there's somebody named Amelia, and this man with a veil of smoke take a stolen truck on a road trip to the ocean. And Amelia notices that the man she's with, he has like a bloody handprint on his neck, and she starts worrying that that's her own handprint. So this sounds very
Wow.
esoteric, very possibly existential.
Yeah.
But that's all I know about this. It's a new Image comic though, so noteworthy for that. So that is all I can dig up on Two Graves. Get it? Dig up.
That's all I can dig up.
Okay, and here is the Doyle variant for that series as well.
Okay, next up is a new mini series from Marvel. This is Murder World
I love
Avengers.
Murder World.
Yeah, and I love the angle they're taking with this. So this is written by Jim Zub, not the only Jim Zub book we'll be talking about today. Uh, And I think this is really cool because this is actually going to follow a new character called Paul Pastor, and he is a documentarian who is going to be exposing to the public this almost red room like place called Murder World that's been broadcast on the internet. It's almost like he's taking Red Room but putting it within the Marvel universe.
Interesting.
And so it also talks about Black Widow has a personal vendetta against Arcade, the master of Murder World, who constructs all these horrible things. So it says this is the not to be missed miniseries of the year. I think it sounds really cool. I like the direction they're taking with it. Kind of expanding this one thing that used to be just where heroes go to maybe this is a more dangerous operation going on. So that is, I believe it's 5 issues. But once again, it's a little hard to tell.
No, it is a one shot.
Is it a one
Yep.
shot?
hmm
Interesting. Yeah, because I
I,
saw a
I
thing
I
where
I read about it. And I did a little digging, and I found at least one place that was pretty reputable saying it's a one
I
shot.
wonder maybe if they're going to do like Murder World Avengers, Murder World X-Men, like they do with those sometimes. Because it did, thing I read mentioned it's going to be a multiple story thing. It didn't say miniseries, but multiple
Interesting.
story.
Okay.
So who knows? But maybe jump on board with this first one to see where it goes. I think it sounds really fun. This is our A cover. I believe this is our new character, the documentarian. This is the LaRocca variant. And then, of course, we have the Scotty Young variant. But don't worry, that's not blood. It looks like it's just ketchup.
Yeah, it reminds me of the logo for Sherman-Williams. Paint company that says "Cover the World."
Yeah.
I wonder if he's playing off that because it's a little bit like it. I mean, not the,
I don't know if that
guy
makes
on top
that
of it.
cuter or Sharon Williams scarier. Who knows?
Okay, so next up is a new miniseries from Boom called Specs. This is going to be a 4-issue miniseries. It's from the writer of Canto and the artist of House of Slaughter. So
Interesting.
yeah, you got some talent on this one. So just a 4-issue series, and the premise is you could probably almost guess, but it is a group of teens come across some magical X-ray specs. Now, it doesn't say what exactly they do, but I mean, look at the cover here.
Yeah.
I'm getting a very they live feel vibe off of this. But that is the premise. Teens, magical x-ray glasses reveal dark and messed up things. They have to deal with it. 4-issue series. So here's the regular cover by Partridge. Here is the Talaski variant. And lastly, here is the Sheehan variant for Specs #1. All right, so those were our featured #1s, but I will tell you, this is a week #1s. There were so many. So our next segment shouldn't surprise you. It's other #1s. We choose the ones we think are the biggest ones to sort of put at the beginning. But, it doesn't mean you're not going to like these ones
Yeah.
as much or more.
Because we have another entry in Peach Momoko's Demon Wars saga. This is Demon Wars Shield of Justice #1. And even though the previous issue had a very Civil War look to it, Marvel Civil War, I feel like the storyline of this one is closer to that because this is Mariko, who's been our protagonist the whole time, is pulled between these two characters, the Iron Samurai versus the Shield of Justice, which very Civil War like with Captain America and Iron Man. And on uh, the Iron Samurai side, he has some spider related characters. And on the Shield of Justice side, he has a Panther like character that's his right hand man. So all of that very much screams Marvel Civil War. I'm very interested to see this. I like this interpretation of the characters. It's very traditional storytelling with some sprinkles of Marvel on top, rather than it being like a retelling of Marvel events. Peach Momoko's done a great job. So this is our A cover by Momoko.
I think I read this one is also a one shot, whereas a
Yeah.
lot of the other ones were sort of 3, 5 issue
Yes.
things.
This is our Dragoda variant.
It's like the Panther character.
Yeah, that's cool. We have our Girahiru variant. Always fun. We have our James Heron variant. And you can see with the spider characters there. Of course, with the red
And
and blue.
eyes as well.
Yep. And of course, this one's also by Momoko.
Yeah. Okay, so another number one technically, but more of a series of number ones. This is your chance to order Batman One Bad Day, Mr. Freeze number one. So I know some of the previous ones were Tom King, correct?
The first one.
Yeah, the
They're
first
all
one.
different
Okay,
writers.
so this is Jerry Dugan with Matteo Scalera doing the art.
Mhm.
And in this one, it's the early days of Batman and Robin, and it happens to be set during a winter that was so cold in Gotham that Mr. Freeze was able to like go out without his suit. That's how cold it is out there. So sort of some early run-ins between them where Robin's feeling a little guilty because he learns of Mr. Freeze's history and why he's doing everything for his wife.
Yeah, Nora.
And Batman is like, no, Robin, no, this guy is a villain. So I think it's a pretty interesting premise. We've seen it before, but like it's usually rolled out over a lot of issues. Instead, this is going to be like
Yeah.
one sort of extra length telling of its own story. But also, I've read some previews on this, and there is a new character in there. So there's a first appearance. Mr. Freeze has a sidekick named Frostbite, and this sidekick escapes. So
Oh,
it is a first appearance of a new character named Frostbite, Mr. Freeze sidekick, first time ever, and this character doesn't get captured, so could appear in other things. So I thought I'd let everybody know that.
that's really cool.
Yep. So here is the Scalera regular cover, and then here is the Jim Lee with a few other artists variant.
I feel like Mr. Freeze could go around and not get caught because without his suit, he just looks like a guy. So he just changed the sunglasses, and then Batman will never find
Yeah, I
him.
guess, but he screams all the time. Like he's screaming about his dying wife. That's where they find him in the crowd.
Okay, next up is a new uh one shot for Winter Soldier. So this is Captain America Winter Soldier Special number one. This is by Jackson Lansing and Colin Kelly. That's your team that did the Kang the Conqueror miniseries a little while ago, and arts by Kev Walker. I believe this is somewhat tying into the ongoing the two Captain America series. We know they're going to be leading into like an event together, and I think this is kind of and how Winter Soldier leads into that as well, because it does say it's an exploration of Captain America's newest foe that involves this group called the Outer Circle. We're going to be seeing how Winter Soldier might be tied in with that, or what his relation to all of that
Yeah, I
is.
think the Outer Circle, they're the ones that created the shield, is what he's
Yes.
found out in his series.
Yeah, so it's kind of how does Winter Soldier factor into this story? And I know we have seen pictures of a new Winter Soldier design or a new look coming up, so I think you're going to be seeing a lot more Winter Soldier, probably starting here because one of the variants, we'll see.
Oh.
See, as you can see right here, he's got a new suit. He's got like a new cape type shawl thing, new haircut.
Hmm.
So we're getting kind of a redesign of Winter Soldier in this. This is the Carnero. It says spoiler
Spoiler
variant,
variant.
but the spoiler is he got a new suit.
Okay, I see.
And we have one more, the Alex Maleev variant, which is really cool with that cape again.
Okay, so here's another number one, and I believe this is from Image, if I'm not mistaken. It's called Gospel. So as far as I could tell, it's ongoing. It didn't. I couldn't find anything to say if this was. It's definitely at least a miniseries, if not ongoing. And this one also was difficult to find out a lot on. But here's what I do know: it was inspired by Miyazaki,
Oh,
the
okay.
famous director. So you're going to see, I mean, you can kind of see that a little bit in the
Yeah,
art.
now that you say
So
that.
it just comes out straight out and says in the solicitation, inspired by Miyazaki, but this is set during the chaotic reign of Henry VIII. So really weird time
Yeah.
period to be in. And this is a fantasy adventure where basically the devil comes for our protagonist, and because of the devil coming after our protagonist, it sends them on sort of this quest of self-discovery.
Hmm.
So I know that's pretty vague,
Kind
but I
of
mean
high
this is
concept.
yeah, this is what I was able to dig up on. I think the art is really going to be what kind of calls
Uh-huh.
people to this or not. But that's what I could find out on Gospel number one. And there are no variants. It's just the one cover. That's it.
And next up is a new one from Dynamite. It feels like Dynamite is trying to kind of not necessarily rebrand themselves, but they're diversifying into some new characters instead of just kind of their core three that they've done.
They made me do, a second take when I heard about gargoyles.
Yeah, oh
So it's
yeah.
like,
I
oh, they're
mean,
doing
if you
gargoyles?
need any
Wow.
proof that they're diversifying, and they have this one coming out. This is Lord of the Jungle #1. Got this awesome Frank Miller, Gary Frank cover, different Frank. Uh, awesome Gary Frank cover, and if you can't tell, this is Tarzan. I think there's some kind of legal rights they
It
can't
sounds
do
like it. They can't say the
Tarzan
name as the title.
as the title,
In the
but
book, they probably will. Like,
yeah, in
that's
this
half the
solicitation, it
cover.
talks about Tarzan by name. But I think the big selling point for this is it's written by Dan Jurgens, famed the man who killed
Yep.
Superman, writer of Avengers, writers of pretty much. I mean, I don't think there's a character in either Marvel or DC he hasn't touched at some point and made a pretty significant contribution to. But this time he is taking on Tarzan as we see a story that starts before Tarzan was born and long into his career in the jungle. I think this sounds really cool, and the art is by Benito uh, Gallego, who is the artist who did the Tarzan newspaper strip. So this is going to have a very interesting look to it. We've got a few variants for this. So the first one, that was our Gary Frank. We have our Dan Panosian. We have our Burns variant. We have our Lee Weeks variant. That gorilla's getting it in all these covers. We have our Tor variant. And of course, we've got this one. This is the special FOC bonus cover by Maine. And this is, as you can tell, homaging a very famous Spider Man cover.
Yep. Okay, so here is a one shot from Image that is just called Soldier Stories. I think this sounds pretty interesting. I'm going to check this out because this is four different stories of military conflict written by four different veterans of the armed forces. So, it's supposed to be very personal tales. Like,
Yeah.
the whole idea of this is every soldier has a story. I, have a few friends who after high school went in the military, some went to Afghanistan, and yes, they have many stories.
Yeah.
So these are going to be stories told by different people, some from Vietnam, some from Afghanistan, other places. It's just that simple. Like it's a pretty simple idea, but a pretty good idea.
Yeah. And I think it's cool. A comic is a great outlet for this because I mean you can tell stories in like books and stuff. Movies are done, but of course they have to have kind of mass appeal and be certain length and everything. This you could have a great relationship with the writer who experienced these things with the artist. They can tell them exactly what everything looked like, what the environment was
Right.
like. I think you're going to get a very accurate story to the
Without having to
person's.
spend millions of dollars like
Yes,
making a movie.
I mean this is a series that I technically could go on forever.
Yeah, except it is just a
It's a
one
one
shot,
shot.
but we'll see how it does. So
Yeah.
that's what Soldier Stories is about. And just one cover as well.
Yeah. The next one is Traveling to Mars #1. When I saw this cover, I mean, no idea what this was going to be about. But it's actually really interesting. So this is by Mark Russell, who I feel like just in recent years has become a very big name in comics from doing, some smaller things to now taking on some of the biggest properties. And this is actually about a former pet store owner named Roy Livingston, which I think is a little funny because you have like Dr. Livingston, who's explorer and all that. But in this, he has a terminal illness. And so the reason he's chosen to go to Mars is he doesn't plan on returning. He wants one final big thing to do in his life. So it's this guy, Roy, going to Mars along with two rovers, like lunar rovers, I think are probably going to have somewhat of personalities. And it's about him basically what it's like to be doing this great thing, but also you're coming to terms with the end of your life. It's just it sounds like a personal story, but also about exploration and discovery. I think it sounds really cool. So this is our A cover for that. We have our Mirka and Dolfo cover. Also, this guy's from Alabama, which I just think is really fun too.
Epic mustache he's got.
Yes. We have our Lavina. Apparently, he really likes his guitar. And we have our McKee variant, and there's also a blank cover available. You can imagine what it looks like.
All right, yet another number one then. If you haven't found the one for you yet, maybe this is it. This is Darkland number one. This is going to be a four-issue miniseries from Scout Comics. It is set in the 24th century where a girl takes refuge in an abandoned mall while a bounty hunter is sort of hot on her trail. Will she be able to adapt and figure out ways to stay alive and possibly defeat this bounty hunter, or will she not? And why is he after her? You will have to read Darkland to find out. I will too, because I haven't read it yet. So this is, and it's just a one cover again.
Next up is one that I love. Back when I started reading comics, I feel like this was one of the first indie comics I got into when I asked, what's a good series to jump into? And the person at the comic book store at the time was like, "Oh, you have to read Skull Kickers. This is by Jim Zub and Edwin Huang. Uh, this was one of Jim Zub's like first things that he made a name for himself. It is Skull Kickers. It premiered 12 years ago, and it is coming back with a new one shot. I think Skull Kickers is, if you've never heard of it, never read it, it's still easy to pick up and read. It is like a comedy D&D campaign in a comic form. You've got all the classes, all the characters, but just crazy hijinks as well. It's adventure, it's fun, it's violent. It's a great series, and it is coming back for this Skull Kicker Super Special number one. Just the
Somebody
one cover.
somebody needs to make a video game out of Skull
I
Kickers,
know
like
there was
right
talk at
away,
one
like
point, but
right
it is
away.
perfect for
It
that.
really would be. Okay, so another number one. It is Nobody's Girls. This is going to be a three-issue miniseries, and I don't know if you can tell by the art. It's very reminiscent of You Promised Me Darkness because it is by that creator, Damian Connolly.
Mm.
So if you like You Promised Me Darkness, very messed up book. Here is the new one by that person as well. And in this, a character named Emmett finds a strange video which kind of puts him on a quest to find some missing girl. These are adult.
Yeah.
These are not PG-13. These are R-rated. So if you like your comics a little darker, a little more
Hmm.
messed up, you might want to check this out. Three-issue series. So this is the regular cover by Connolly, and then there are three variants, all by artist San Juan. So here's the B cover,
It's a little
the C
poltergeisty.
cover, yeah, and lastly the D cover to Nobody's Girls. Okay, that's a lot of number ones. But oh,
I've got
there's
another.
still another
There's so many.
surprise.
But of course, this is TMNT best of. They're still coming out with these, and I just love. I mean, we got through all the main ones, and just like I wanted originally, they're doing some deeper dives. This is the best of Leatherhead. Uh, I think most people are know Leatherhead from the cartoon, where he is a bayou alligator,
Yep.
super fun character. But I'm excited about this. Now they're getting to some of the weirder characters. You're getting reprints of stories that are very hard to get. Um, they don't always collect them in trades and everything like that. And these collect from the Archie, from Image, from IDW. Everywhere the turtles have been is fair game. So just the one cover for this. And once again, I wish I'd been getting all of these because having all those covers would be so cool.
I,
But
I wonder if it'll go into where Krang gets inside of him, so like he
Leather
becomes Leather
Krang,
Krang, or if Leather Krang will get his own set of
yeah, how far are we gonna take
stories.
this?
Okay, so now we're going to get into cool covers and other comics. That is going to be issue number twos and threes of comics that perhaps you've already read the first issue. You just need to be reminded to sign up for, but also variants that you might not be reading a book, but sometimes these variants are so good, you got to get them anyway. So, like, Dotterman's always doing awesome
I
variants
know.
that's like, oh, I got to get that one. So, beginning with, local comic shop day is coming up in within what is it, November?
I think
It,
so.
it happens in November. We'll certainly have more on that in our show coming up. But there are three other local comic shop day books that have to be ordered now. in order for you to guarantee to get them through your shop. The first one, which I think is the one we've already gotten calls about, is 8 Billion Genies is getting another #1 reprint for local comic shop day. Now, these are not priced officially like most books,
Right.
so we're going to tell you I think our price on these is going to be $4, but your store can price them however.
Yeah.
And sometimes the pricing is a little weird. Sometimes they say it's 4, but we don't get a discount, in which case it has to be more than 4, otherwise we don't make money. But I think from my research, we're going to be doing $4 on this. The other two are Dark Spaces Wildfire. Now, of course, this is the hit book that's already been optioned by Scott Snyder. It's issue #5 though that they're doing. So
That's
whereas
interesting.
yeah, whereas Genies went back and did a reprint of issue 1, this is going to go with what would be sort of the
Mhm.
current issue. And I believe this one's going to be $4 through us. The last thing, I don't have a screen to show you because it's too explicit. It is it's a trade. It's a trade paperback for I Hate This Place, Volume 1, which of course is by Kyle Starks. It's about people in a haunted house. And anyway, it has a 4-letter word version. So instead of I hate this place, I blank this place, or it's not even I, it's a blank this place
Yeah.
variant of the trade paperback. I think that's going to be $15. So if you want all the local comic shop day stuff, I urge you to ask your store because I'll tell you, it very much swings. Some stores get a lot of it and a lot of interest. Some it's not like Free Comic Day where everybody knows about it or
Yeah.
comes out. Your best bet to get this stuff is ask your store, including if you shop with us.
I like that idea for the 8 billion genies one too because the genies in it kind of look like the people that they're the genie of. So you can get an artist to draw what
That's
your genie
funny.
would look like.
Okay, that's neat.
Okay, so next up is some pretty cool covers. This one is for Iron Man number 25. But what is big about this? It's the 25th issue. They celebrate all those landmarks. This is Christopher Cantwell's final issue of Iron Man. I'm not sure if it's technically the last issue of the series, if they're going to be restarting it with a new #1 or what. I don't know if we've necessarily heard yet what the future plans for Iron Man are. But in this one, New York celebrates Iron Man Day, which some people are down for, and some people they still blame Iron Man for a lot of stuff. Plus, a story that hints to what's next for the character. So it's going to have multiple stories in it, with the last one being kind of a look to the future of Iron Man. So this is our A cover, and then we have our for Gary foreshadow variant.
Mm. All right. So next up, it is GI Joe Real American Hero issue #300.
From back here, it looks like a salad bar exploded or something.
300 issues of GI Joe, the longest running GI Joe series to date, and this is the final issue. IDW actually will not have the rights to do any more GI Joe after this, so they're going out of the bang. They made it to issue 300. Look at all those characters. This is just the front. We're about to show you the back as well. So here is the back of that cover.
And I think it's the front is Joe's and the back is Cobra, and
Yep.
then the foreground is Duke fighting Cobra Commander.
Yeah, so very cool. This, of course, is done by Larry Hama, and there are some other variants for it. So this is an exercise issue. It's going to be 6.99. So here is the Sullivan variant.
It's a bunch of characters.
Yeah, Sullivan's like, I'll do a bunch of characters, and whoever did the A cover was like, yeah, I'm just gonna blow you away. Actually, it was the same person. Sullivan did
Oh wow!
the other cover too. So wow, he's been drawing a lot of people. And then here is the Diaz variant. And lastly, the McKellen variant for the final issue of IDW's G.I. Joe series.
And next up, like we were
There it
talking
is.
about, this is the variant for Gambit #5. This is the final issue of the miniseries, and this is our Dodderman variant with all the different versions of Gambit.
Those are very cool. Okay, so check out this cover for Immortal X-Men #8. This is the main cover. This is the Brooks cover.
So good.
Yeah, Mark Brooks is just incredible, and now he gets to do like period piece costuming on the characters. So I don't know exactly how this is happening, but this is set in London, 1895. Like this issue is, and what is it? Mystique and Destiny team up with Sherlock Holmes. I don't know how they
It
team up
sounds
with a
like an
character
episode
from
of
a
the old like
book.
animated series or something.
Yeah, my mind goes right to Star Trek Next Generation, all the
Oh,
holodeck
like
stuff.
yeah,
But I don't know. Anyway, they team up with Sherlock Holmes in 1895 to try to track down a murderer. I would hate to be a murderer going up against. I mean, you already got Sherlock Holmes, but you have Mystique and Destiny. How are you going to get away with
you're not getting
anything?
away with that.
Yeah, but anyway, great cover on this. I think some people will just want it for the cover. And then check out the B cover is pretty good too. Here is the Phil Noto Quiet Council variant.
I always love these because it not that comics, but the comics usually do a kind of a more simplified style of art for characters. You look at this and be like, I think this is what Kate Pride would look like. Like this is what a real human person would look like.
And with the Sergeant Pepper jacket.
Yes. Next up is our second issue of Namor: The Conquered Shores. This is the Manahini variant. And in this one, it talks about, since this is set in kind of a far future, but does the original Human Torch, one of his fellow Invader members, is he still around? So I think that's pretty cool. They're bringing back some of his classic allies.
So here is the Bartel main cover for She-Hulk #8. I mean,
So good, these Bartel A
whether you're reading it
covers.
or not, yeah. Look, I mean, just the cover alone is great. So in this issue, though, She-Hulk has a new enemy who's been sort of keeping to the shadows. Well, in this issue, there you will see them. Their face is revealed. They are revealed. But more than that, why do they hate She-Hulk? What are they getting up to? All that's supposed to be revealed this issue. Then we have this Dowling variant, just strolling down the road with their car.
That's how you get out of traffic.
Yeah. And here is the NetEase variant for it with Howard the Duck.
Oh, she's had a few run-ins with
Oh,
Howard the
yeah,
Duck over the time, so this is
for
fitting.
sure. Yep.
And next up, we've got some variants for some Star Wars books, starting with Dr. Aphra number 26. This is cool. This is the Revelations variant. This is by Clarke.
I can't help but see, like, I have the
I
power.
know. I was like, is this supposed to be an homage to like one of the original Star Wars posters? But with that sword and like how thick it is and everything, it definitely looks like a Masters Universe cover.
Yeah.
But I also like they're kind of movie-ish. That was the Clarke, and then we also have the Ganichu variant for that. And then we have the Revelations cover for Han Solo and Chewbacca by Clarke, and we have the Pascal Fairy variant with a lonely looking Greedo
Yeah,
sitting at
poor
a bar.
Greedo.
But the thing about this issue is it says, because they love doing this now, it's the return of Redacted. And Redacted is back in angry. So some character is going to make a return in this. I don't know if it's going to be like Boba Fett or it could be anybody. It's a Star Wars universe. Literally anybody could be in this. Or that character called Redacted from whatever book that was not that long ago. But I think this is really cool and I love this variant.
Okay, here is the Caselli variant for Thunderbolts #4. And in this issue, Terminus attacks Manhattan. So obviously, it's going to take all the Thunderbolts to go up against a threat that is that big. So again, this is the Caselli variant for Thunderbolts #4.
I bet it'll end up having a border too, like the Hawkeye one did.
Hmm.
Usually that stuff's not added till the very end, being a trading card variant. Okay, next up we have Wakanda #2. And I didn't know anything about this book, and then I heard a review about how each issue is going to follow like a different notable figure in Wakanda. So this one is M'Baku's, which I think is man, did the first Black Panther movie make him a breakout star. He is now such a cool character. And this one is going to be a story following him, as well as the backup story that is following the history of all the Black Panthers. This is our A cover. And then we have our Terry and Rachel Dodson B cover. We've got that 1 million Black Panther with the reflection being the regular Black Panther.
So here's the Ganachu variant for Batgirls #12. Um, what decade feel does this have? Because this is a 90s.
I love the old logo,
It's for
everything.
90s cover month. The thick line, the thick motion
Yeah.
lines. That's what does it for me more than anything, I think. But yeah, the old logo. So again, this is the Ganachu 90s cover variant for Batgirls #12. In this, the Batgirls are going to Mad Hatter's Tea Party. So Probably a bad idea.
And next up, we have Batman versus Robin #3. I actually just read this issue, so I'm going to remain spoiler free, but this is an action packed issue. As you can see on the cover, Damian is wearing his Batman 666 suit, just tailored down a little bit. But because of what happened in the previous issue, where basically the demon Neza gave Damian his own Robins uh, in the form of kind of mind controlled uh, ones of all of the previous Robins. This issue is Batman versus Robins. You're going to see Batman fight Tim Drake, Stephanie Brown, and a big fight with Dick Grayson. You're going to have to see. Plus, a another very touching uh, finale to this issue that you're going to have to read. It's great. This is our A cover for that. We have our
There's a lot of covers for this.
yes. There's a lot of covers. Our Alex Maleev variant.
I know they're in the shadows, but it almost looks like Robin is a little bit of a chimney sweep. He's just got like soot all over him.
Yeah, he just popped out of the chimney. We have our Manahini variant. We have our next
Yep,
90s inspired
90s.
variant. This is by Carlos Barbary. And then this is cool. I'm really wondering why they didn't spread these variants out over the course of the entire series. But we have these fight poster variants. These are by Mario Fox and Fuccio. So this is our Batman versus Red Hood. We have our Batman versus Spoiler, Batman versus Nightwing, and Batman versus Tim Drake.
So I can go ahead and tell you that with this many covers, your store's not going to be able to just order countless amounts of
Yeah,
these. Like
yeah,
this is another one, probably more than anything we've shown. This and the local comic shop day stuff. Definitely tell your store you want these in time for them to order the right amount.
yeah,
Which we have to have our orders in by this Sunday.
yeah.
Like
So there's no,
covers come out, and then we have a very small window to place our orders, and we cannot change them after that.
I'd say a lot of people are either going to want all of these or you're going to want your specific character.
Yeah,
And there's no guarantee your store is going to have tons of copies of these.
I want the Nightwing one.
I've already put in my order for the Stephanie Brown one.
Okay, so this is the cover to Batman Incorporated #2.
Yes,
Uh,
the Melina.
yes, this is the Molina variant for Batman Incorporated #2, and this is going to continue what happened in #1, where Batman Incorporated are going around the world trying to find out who is killing the former mentors of Ghostmaker and Batman. Um, so that's what #1 began as. This is what's going to continue. But there's another variant for this. It is the '90s foil embossed variant. I mean, look at that. You just get the '90s feels right out of
Yeah,
there. I think that one works really well for it, to tell you the truth.
yeah.
I
The
can't wait to
lighter
see how
color
it.
too, you can see it better.
I'm really looking forward to seeing this one in real life. There's only so much a screen
Yeah,
can capture it. But I think this is going to be more expensive as well because yeah, this will end up costing a few
yeah.
bucks extra because of the foil embossing.
And next up, we've got this really cool Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths #6 variant. This is, of course, an homage to Infinite Crisis, which I believe was originally a Jim Lee cover. But this one is done by Colin, and I've also read this issue. This is the issue before the last for Dark Crisis, and some big stuff goes down in this. If you're waiting for a big all-out fight, that's this issue where all the dark forces versus all the heroes go against each other with a character going through a pretty major change at the end of it. I'll say that.
I really like what they're doing with Superman and Batman's capes on the edges there.
Yeah,
That's a very
really cool.
okay. So this is the '90s Randolph variant for I Am Batman #15.
I like how the I am is really tiny. That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, this looks so much like a '90s Batman
Yes.
cover, more than I think any of the other
Uh huh.
ones. If I came across as a collection, I would assume it was. So, in this issue, though, Jace is going to possibly re-examine his decision not to join the Justice League. So, no promises. We'll see how it goes, but that's what it says in the citation.
And then we have the 90s cover for a character who was not even around in the 90s. I guess I Am Batman wasn't. Oh, he was, kind of. Superman, Son of Kal-El, number 17. This is the. Who did this cover? This is the Butler 90s variant. And just a reminder, there is one issue after this. So the series is about to wrap up, but you got to get this cool 90s inspired cover. 90s in many ways. The skateboarding,
Yeah.
he's hanging out at the mall.
Uh-huh.
It's all 90s all the time.
Yeah. Grinding on things that you're not supposed to grind on. Okay, so this is the Sway variant for Wonder Woman number 793. And in this issue, this is a Kal-El Returns tie-in, with Superman's return from War World.
Mhm.
And this issue is going to reunite the Trinity. That's right. Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman are all going to be together in this issue. So again, this is the Sway variant for Wonder Woman 793. And then there is, of course, the 90s variant. That's really good. All the Jean. Yes, yes,
Double
yes.
denim.
So
I like how this one's not like trying to look like a cover from the 90s. This one's just Wonder Woman being like, look, I am the
and they
90s.
got the right artist for this. It's
Yeah.
Jen Bartel.
Yes.
So just right artist for this. Okay, so now comes our last segment of our show: other printings and graphic novels.
Starting with Marvel Tales Ghost Rider, or as it's also called, uh, Marvel Tales Ghost Rider Danny Ketch Tales. I didn't see that anywhere on the cover, but that's how it's listed. Because if you're new, you've never read any of Danny Ketch Ghost Rider, this is actually collecting issues 1 through 3 of the 90s Ghost Rider series that introduced him. So really cool. I think this was actually a really good Marvel Tales to get if you're interested in more of the Ghost Rider mythos.
I'm hoping Danny Ketch is coming back soon, and that's why they're doing this.
I mean,
So
that's not out of the question for sure.
yeah. Okay, so Miracle Man number 0 by Neil Gaiman and Mark Buckingham is going back for second print. So if you missed the first print on this issue number 0 before they launch their new series, which is going to be the end of that really old series, here is your chance to get it. This is a Leno U cover for Miracle Man number 0, second print.
And then we have a second printing for Spider-Man. This is the Dan Slott and Mark Bagley new Spider-Man that just started. This time we have a red cover instead of white, kicking off the end of the Spider-Verse story.
So I feel like Marvel and DC within the last year finally upped their game, particularly DC on facsimiles everyone's been waiting for.
Yeah.
These should just be on hand. You should be able to get these at your comic store. Thank goodness they're doing it. So Detective Comics 38, the first appearance of Robin, is getting a facsimile. This is going to have all the ads in it. It's going to be just like you bought that old one, except it's not worth a fraction of what that old one is worth. But still, you get to read that original story. I will say it is a $6.99 book, however, so be ready for that. But still, I'm sure we're going to order a lot of these. We're going to sell a lot of these.
Have you ever seen this book come through or seen it in person?
No,
You know,
no,
sometimes
I've
people
not.
bring in cool stuff to show us, but
It is true. Like one of our claims of fame is we have Detective Comics number 4. It is
yeah,
not for sale. It is in a personal collection in a very safe location. That's pre-Batman. It's
yeah.
it's actually a year before Superman was even came out. It's back when Detective Comics were about detectives. But no, issue 38, which is still worth a lot more than even number
Yeah.
4. Right? The day will come.
And we have a new omnibus, or it's a reprinting of it, but it's been a while. This is New X-Men. I really like this series. This is by Grant Morrison, and this introduced a lot of characters that are like currently big characters, like the Stepford Cuckoos, Beak, kind of the next generation of X-Men. That was kind of his whole goal, is to have the next mutation of X-Men. This is when Beast turned more cat-like. Bunch of cool stuff. This collects the entire series for $125. I do recommend this one. And we have the variant for it as well, by Frank Quitely.
Okay, and so our last thing is another collection. This is Planet of the Apes. This is the original series by Marvel, which was an adaptation of the original movie and Beneath the Planet of the Apes. So this was an 11 issue series. This is the entirety of it. You can get it for $100. These are hardcover editions. This is the regular one, the artist. This is the gist variant or cover, and then there is the Kane direct market variant with this is how they looked on the
Yeah.
covers of those. They're pretty regular. It's hard to find all 11 of them
Yeah.
together, however. So
And Marvel, as you can tell with this, has the rights back for Planet of the Apes, and I feel like they have kind of hinted they're going to be doing some new stories like they are with Alien and Predator
and
and
I know
those.
it was revealed they're doing another movie.
Yes.
Yep, another
Yep.
movie is happening. So which I like the last three that they did. I'm
Very strong.
shocked
Yeah.
how much I like those. Okay, so that is our show for today. So remember, the reason we do this show is we are showing you all the comics that are available for open order, meaning you can order them right now. And if you get your orders in time with your store, you're guaranteed a copy at just cover price. After orders are locked, which most orders are due by the end of Sunday, we can't change our numbers. And so when people ask for these things after that, it gets a little sticky.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have enough, maybe we won't. So that's why we do this show. So we hope that we have been helpful to you in choosing what comics you want to pre-purchase. And if so, and you're watching on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button. We are gaining in numbers all the time. So thank you very much. We will be back on Monday with our weekly day early review show where Andy and I read all the new comics that are coming out, practically not all, but just about all of them. And we give spoiler-free reviews where we'll tell you about first appearances, major reasons to collect them, and all that.
Stuff we probably talked about 4 weeks ago.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, 4 weeks from this show, we'll be talking about these books because they will be in hand. So, again, thank you for joining us and have a great day.